La Resortera.
Here we are for another week with Pura Vida Perspectives podcast. Thank you for joining. We really do appreciate that you guys are here and listening. In this episode, we're going to talk about something that I find to be very, very, very important because I've seen this as where it's a huge, people make big mistakes, big pitfalls. I don't want to see this happen to people. So, and we've each have our own experiences with this, which is buying a car. So you're going to think, oh, buying a car. It's kind of complicated down here. So we're going to talk about a bit about the process. We're going to talk about, well, I guess what you've gone through with buying cars, what I've gone through with buying cars, things that we want you to look out for, things that exist here that maybe you didn't know existed. So either way, we hope that you're going to learn something from the information and you're going to be staying protected through the process.
Yes.
So it's really important. So buying a car.
Buying a car can be tricky and complicated here in Costa Rica. Not only the fact that used cars are brought from the States, and are cars that might be in a crash, bad crash, and they just fix it and bring it down here, to the lawyers signing the escrituras because I sold it to a friend of mine, but we never did las escrituras. Now my friend is living in Punta Arenas. I live in San Jose, and then I have to sign. It's tricky.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about this topic because we just went through this. So my partner recently just bought a car over this last little bit. So I thought, wow, this is going to be a perfect opportunity to chat through this because we came across, as we were looking at cars, a lot of what you just said. So we came across cars that had been brought over. We wouldn't have known. Okay, so for example, we help people with buying cars through our business and yada, yada. A lot of times we end up working with a car broker because they are experts. They know what to do. They're going to save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so, but me being me, I'm like, we'll just do it ourselves. Like, let's just take a look. Because I bought my second truck myself. The first one I used a car broker. I'm thinking, well, let's just see what's out there. So I'm using some of the websites that I know you want to talk about. And actually, I was on Facebook Marketplace. For example, you find this amazing looking Hyundai Elantra, like gorgeous. I was like, wow, this looks like it's in such good condition. This is amazing. We had the mechanic go look at it. He's like, oh no, this has been in a major collision.
Okay, I'm going to pause you right there. The first thing you want to do when you're buying a used car in Costa Rica, get a mechanic.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So always have a mechanic look at it. Don't just go yourself and do that. So mechanic was like, no, this has been in a major collision. He said that the paint job and the reconstruction, like what they did with the cosmetics of the car, they really did make the car look absolutely impeccable. He was even very impressed. He said, this looks like factory paint level. He said this was really good. But unfortunately, yeah, the car was absolute not a good idea, not a good buy. So we were bummed about that. The good thing is, also another thing, I only buy cars in the area of San Jose.
Okay.
Because, well, by the beach, we got rust, corrosion, all that stuff near the salt.
Okay,
so we
salt.
always only buy our cars in San Jose. And that's why it's nice. You can actually have a mechanic. Let's say you find something you're serious about. The mechanic can go look at it. We have mechanics in San Jose that'll go check it out. And then they'll be able to, you don't have to make the trip. I don't have to make a trip just to find out
so
nothing.
you send the mechanic over to see the car.
Exactly.
Instead of you coming from Jaco to here.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, as I was saying, the first thing you want to do is have a mechanic take a look at the car. Because lots of these cars, like Sarah just mentioned, they're like, how do you say?
Flood vehicles from the U.S. too.
Reconstruidos.
Yeah, they're like refurbished vehicles. They've been in accidents.
That's the word I was looking for.
They've been in
refurbished.
floods. Yeah.
And not only that, and it's funny I'm saying this, and we don't want to give bad publicity to people that sells cars, but it's what people do. Unfortunately, the odometer.
The odometer, yeah. They roll it back.
Yeah, they roll it back, way back.
So I found that out too. So because of some of the vehicles that we were looking at, so, for example, actually I have it in this notebook. I love notebooks. I'm making a list of all the cars that we're interested in. And then slowly I'm just making a line. Okay, this one's off the list. Because I asked the owners, I said, well, can you give me the VIN number?
Uh-huh.
Actually, these are the different cars. And I was like, give me the VIN number. I look it up. These are just if cars happen to be in the United States before coming to Costa Rica. I was able to look it up and I saw, okay, Well, the odometer is definitely rolled back because this person says it has 98,000 miles. But according to the last time it was checked in 2017, which is years ago, it had 163,000 miles in the U.S., and it had a minor accident.
Magic.
So I'm like, okay, if this car had 163 miles in 2017, we're in 2024, and they're telling me it's got 98,000. How many miles does this thing really have?
That car just came from the future.
I know, right?
No, Back to the Future.
Exactly. So for me, what I found to be the easiest way to buy a car here is using a car broker.
Yeah.
They really do everything for you. We ended up, so because I have a lot of connections with people that we work with, one broker that we use, she's like, here's my mechanic. He happened to know a guy like with a really good car. It was actually below market value. He went, we had him check it out. He gave us the green light. We said, all right, perfect. We came up and bought it. Did the transaction with a lawyer, which is different here in Costa Rica. A lot of people say they don't know that you need to have a lawyer in order to do a car purchase.
Yep.
If you're going to buy it from a personal owner, I do always recommend using your own lawyer. And then in terms of the cash, you're not just going to make a transfer to their account. Because let's say, like me, let's say you're coming from North America. Let's say you don't have a bank account here in Costa Rica.
You got cash.
You're going to have to bring cash. I did, how we did that transaction, it was part bank, part through a bank account. They're two different accounts, but there's limits on what you can send per day. And then the rest was in cash. They're sitting there counting out all the cash. But you have to be really careful. Don't meet anyone in a weird place to go see a car.
No.
Like, there's so many things that can go wrong in this process. So I don't want people to think it's going to be, okay, I'll just come and buy a car. It'll be real quick. Like, cool. No, it's not. And you have to be so careful because you can, just like anywhere on these classified websites, they can be dangerous people. Yeah. You can think they can lure you into showing up with cash to buy a car and then all of a sudden steal your cash. Yep. And, something can happen to you. And I want people to like always be careful and always use the same common sense anywhere in the world. And the thing is, you live near Grecia. Mm-hmm. So I've had clients say, oh, can I just go up to Grecia and buy a car?
Okay, so I'm going to pause you right there. Grecia, it's this town that has like the main entrance. It's here. And there's a road that goes like up the hill. And here's downtown Grecia, let's say. So from when you turn right to head to downtown Grecia, there are probably 50 or 55, 60 car dealers. One next to each other, one in front of the other one. And Grecia is very famous for selling cars. You'll see on both sides of the road, like I said, 50 to 60 dealerships. And they have good prices. But again, I don't know if these cars, are being bring from the States, have been into accidents. They bought the car from somebody who needed the cash at a very low price on the street. I mean, so many cases. But yeah, Grecia is famous for selling lots of cars.
Yeah, that's why you either need to bring in a mechanic or you need to be a mechanic. If you're not a mechanic, you need to bring one because, a lot can. And most owners I find are very open. Obviously, they're fine with you mechanically checking out their vehicle. It's kind of expected. So you should definitely do that. Don't skip on that. Don't look at just the outside cosmetic of the vehicle or even...
Like I always say, do your homework, do your due diligence.
Yeah, and it's complicated. So that's why it's one of those things that, we do guide people through it, but it's one of the more delicate things that can definitely make or break your time here. Because if you end up with a lemon, you're going to end up just shoveling money into it. My first car was in 1999. I knew I was going to be putting money into it. I knew that. It's what I could afford at the time. Then I was able to get something more reliable. But
not only buying cars is complicated, selling the car is complicated too.
Yeah, I do work with people that have to sell their cars because they end up leaving Costa Rica.
Yeah.
They always usually reach out to us. Hey, we're going to be leaving Costa Rica.
And
we're going
to
sell our car.
Sell it cheaper. Like, for example, there's this webpage called CR Autos where people upload their car to sell it. And people also look at the page to see what the price on the market is.
Yep. So CR Autos. And I want to make a point really quick because I have had a client tell me, oh, yeah, I'm just going to go to the CR Autos dealership. And
it's not,
So that's why I was like, okay, that's a website. I was like, I want you to think of this website like a classifieds. This isn't a dealership because I've had clients actually think that that's a dealership.
No.
So yes, I want to make that very clear.
Yeah, CR Autos is like the most popular, I think, selling website in Costa Rica. But you upload your car and you can be anywhere in the country and people can take a look at it. and they filter. So I want to buy a car in Grecia, or I want to buy a car in Jaco. So you see what's near you. And people really go onto this website also to see, the price on the market. Let's say I want to sell my car, and I see that it costs, I don't know, $22,000. Like the other cars in Serre Autos, they go for $22,000. And I want to say, all right, I'm gonna put mine in 20, so it'll sell faster. So I can get more calls, and people can, I can get more interactions. Also in Serre Autos, you have to be careful, because what Sarah was saying, people might want to scam you. And people might want to say, hey, I have this car for sale and it's impeccable, it's cheap, it's not that expensive. Bring the money with you. And when you come, the car's there, but they say, all right, hands up, give me your money.
Totally. So you have to be careful. And there's CR Autos, there's Encuentra 24.
Encuentra 24, yep.
That's like another classifieds.
Yeah. What I did, I just sold my wife's car. And what I did, I went with this car dealership agency, and they took pictures of the car and they posted in their website, they posted in their Facebook and everything. And whenever they had a client, they called me up and say, hey, can you bring the car to the dealership? So they were doing the transaction directly. Obviously, they get a commission, which I don't mind, because I didn't have a headache of showing out the car, bringing it out, to some random place. I don't know where it is or who I'm gonna run into. So it was a pretty good experience. Also, these people can help you out too. So you come to their agency and you say, hey, I have a budget. What's your budget? This amount. Okay, with this budget, what type of car you want? Between 2015 to 2022 or to 2020. And they will find something according to your budget. Also, cars in Costa Rica are expensive. People need to know that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Even if they're old. Because I ran into social media, Facebook, people say, all right, I want a 4x4. I have $10,000 budget, and it has to be 2018. Where are you going to find that?
Nowhere.
Exactly.
In an alternate universe.
Maybe in the States.
In another country.
Maybe in the States you can.
Yeah.
But in Costa Rica, no. Costa Rica, it's expensive for cars. So you really need to figure out your budget. And I have run into some people that says, all right, if I'm going to spend $40,000 in a car, I might as well just get a new one. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. But there's people buying $40,000 cars on the streets that are used.
Yeah.
So again, do your due diligence and see how much budget you have. And if you can buy a new car at the dealership, go ahead and do it. If you're going to buy a used car, really do your homework.
Yeah, and also a lot of the common brands, Toyota is really popular here, Suzuki,
Yes.
like buy cars. And you can go to these websites that Heido mentioned, like the CR Autos, Encuentra 24, just for market research. So if you say, all right, I want a 4x4, I want it to be the X between X and X año, I was going to say, year. English and Spanish
is kicking in.
It is. Why? But yeah, I want it to be between X and X year. You can kind of put what you want, and then you can see, okay, here are the prices that I'm seeing for cars that I'm looking for. Or if you say, okay, I got X amount of cash, what can I get?
Yeah.
You can look at it by price. And that's a lot of what people are doing is just market research. Yeah. So
and the repuestos.
Yes, the parts. You want it to be a car that you don't want to get
No.
For example, I don't think I've ever seen what is it? Those little Coopers?
Mini Cooper?
I've never seen a Mini Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't. Not very near where I live. I guess where I live.
Yeah, but
what's a random car that you just don't see here?
Well, Mini Coopers, Peugeot.
That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be common. Like you're gonna have a hard time finding parts for it, hard time finding people who can probably work on it. So go for the common things.
Well, I'm gonna mention Chinese cars are being very popular now in Costa Rica.
See more electric cars now.
Bunch of electric cars, bunch of Chinese cars. Which, by the way, I don't mind Chinese cars. Let me tell you that, because they look pretty on the inside. But the concern that people have with Chinese cars are the parts.
True.
So that's the kind of the complicated thing. Same with the electric cars. I just saw a couple cyber trucks.
I was just in an Uber today that was electric because I just decided to Uber to not drive from where I was. It was beautiful.
Those cars are gorgeous.
At the mall yesterday, I sat in one of them that was inside the mall, and I was like, I felt like I was in a living room.
Yep.
And it's got this big screen here, big screen here. You felt like you're in a living room.
And they're less expensive than a regular car.
It was crazy. And then my Uber driver, just to come here, had one that was very similar, like what I saw in the mall, maybe like a cheaper version, but same features. And I was like, this is pretty nice.
Yeah, some of the problems with those cars are the parts, So people still go for major brands like Toyota, like Hyundai. How do you say Hyundai?
Hyundai, yeah. Hyundai. Yeah.
Hyundai.
I mean, we're a Toyota family. We got 2 Toyotas now, so.
Yeah, I have a Toyota too. But the thing is that los repuestos, the parts for Hyundai, Toyota, Nissan, Chevrolet are more easy to find. So that's, something you want to look out for when you're buying a car in Costa Rica. Chinese cars, again, look at who is behind the Chinese brand.
Yeah.
For example, I used to work for Maxus, and Maxus is a Chinese car that is being brought by AutoStar. AutoStar is the dealer of Mercedes-Benz. So, you say, all right, so you have a big corporation behind them. They should have all the parts. And as far as the used cars, also, looked out to buy a car that, that you're flexible on parts, because since it's a used car, you might have to put some money on it and make sure that, that it's flexible to get those parts.
Yeah, and I would say just also really think about the practicality of the vehicle that you're getting, I guess, in a few ways. So one, and I think some people have this fantasy of coming to Costa Rica and getting kind of one of those like bulky, like truck-looking things that are like really old, maybe from like the 1980s or sorry, that's old, but for a car that's old, 1980s, 1970s, so they can like, they'll think they're going to be going up and down those 4 mountains and, have the whole family in the back. They become some jungle people. Just think about the practicality of the vehicle that you're choosing, because the older you go, the more problems you are likely going to have with it. And also, I think a lot of people, I need 4x4, I need 4x4. Kind of like with you in the car, rentals.
It depends.
And then I'll talk to them and I'm like, I think you'll be fine with a sedan.
Yep.
Like, if you can get a newer sedan that's better within your budget, go with that. And if you really need to take a weekend trip, you can go rent a 4x4. So think about that too.
With car rentals, Costa Rica and USA.
Exactly. Car rentals, Costa Rica and USA. You can go rent a 4x4. You can do whatever. But I would say some people that I work with, the areas that they're going to, a sedan is pretty darn practical for them. But people still get it in their mind. Oh, I need this 4x4. Oh, they're so expensive. Oh, I can't afford the 4x4. Or it's going to stretch my budget. I'm like, just get a sedan. They're nice. I mean, now our second car is a sedan. They're fun. They're perfect.
And where you live?
They're fine. I'm in Jaco, so I think they're good for the Central Valley.
Exactly.
Good for the Central Pacific. Even parts of Guanacaste. Has a lower clearance, so I got to watch out for the potholes. But then, now I'm got my truck back, and then I'll have to worry about this stuff anymore.
Yeah, but what I'm saying with that is, I mean, if you live in Jaco, you don't really need a 4x4.
No.
If you live in Tamarindo, you don't need a 4x4.
No. We even went down.
Even if you live in La Fortuna, you don't need a 4x4.
No, exactly. Like we went down to Dominical the other day in the sedan and went up to the reptile park and did some stuff. I mean, you really, yeah.
All right. To recap, just keep an eye out there for, get a mechanic, the lawyer. It's very important that the lawyer that you're working with, that they run through the system, make sure the car has no problems, no traffic ticketing or anything like that, to make the traspaso. How do you call it? Traspaso?
The title transfer paperwork. So the lawyer's going to make sure that there's no liens against it, no bank liens. No, it's not involved in any traffic cases, or there's no pending tickets that haven't been paid on it. So the lawyer, and I would say if you're working with a reputable dealership, so let's pretend like your friend, you know him, you can use their lawyer. A lot of dealerships will have their own lawyer. So I'm not saying you have to go off and get your own lawyer and make, if the dealership is a good reputable one, go ahead and use their lawyer. It's if you're dealing with a personal owner, use one that's yours.
Also, something I didn't mention before, never go alone.
No.
Never.
Oh my God. Sorry, I got to tell you guys one more thing about that.
Go ahead.
Okay. So one of our friends that we're here with right now, they're like our best friends. Oh my gosh. So they were looking for a car. So this made me think of this episode too. They're looking for their car, and then they were like, okay, well, we want to spend like between $4,000 and $6,000. And I'm telling you, this isn't a good idea. They're looking at old stuff, 1980s.
Yeah.
Kind of like what I was saying, kind of like I don't know, what do you call those little sidekick? Like almost like a Suzuki sidekick type deal, old school. And the guy's like, well, I was going to go look at some cars while we're in San Jose. And I'm like, well, where? And he was like, well, we're like, no, you're not. Like, no, you're not. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, well, this guy said that I could make a first payment and he'll hold it for me. And we literally like grabbed the phone from him and we were like, no, you're not. Like, you're not doing this.
You're going to get scammed.
That's what I said. And it was like, oh, well, we were looking for someone that could finance the vehicle for us. And I'm like, I was like, this guy's not going to finance a vehicle for you. I, in my right mind, would never finance a vehicle for someone that I don't know.
We still got time. Let me tell you this story how I got scammed when I was 18.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
My mom found a guy in San Jose. I don't know how or where she got the number from. Just remembering this pisses me off. I thought this was erased from my memory. So I'm a kid, 18, 19, something like that. My mom says, all right, if we get this guy 300,000 colones back in the day, he will help us out with a car and finance or get someone. We just got to give him the money. Excuse my language. This piece of shit guy made me wrote with my hand in a piece of paper that I was giving him the money and that he was going to help me find somebody, and that like literally he scammed me right there. I didn't even see it. With my hand saying that, he was not responsible, blah, 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 blah. He gave me a piece of paper and I was copying what was on the piece of paper and sign it at the end. I never saw the card again. I never saw the car. I never saw my money again. We never saw the guy again.
Oh.
Obviously, my mom got scammed. She took me into it. It was my money that I was saving, as a kid. And this just came back to my mind. I forgot about that part of my life.
That happens sometimes.
It just came back. Wow.
I'm sorry you had to remember that.
Yeah, wow.
That sucks. We should bury it back down in your lost memories.
So people, I'm glad these came back so I can tell you this story. Woo. But that sucks.
That's mean.
Yeah.
That's so mean. Yeah, and then, how are you going to, well, first of all, the court system here sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, never go alone. Don't do transfers to someone you don't know or you never seen the car, because I just remember I never saw a car. Yeah. That was just like, give me the money so I can start working
on the process. It's like a retainer for him to start working on the process of getting you a car to finance. No.
Oh, I would start hurting my chest and everything.
All this stuff just makes me nervous. So, at least whenever the people I work with, I'm like, don't do anything big unless you talk to me first.
Get a mechanic.
Friends too. I'm like, do not talk. I'm like, do not do anything.
Get a mechanic, get a broker, or find someone that is, have done this process a lot so that can really help you out.
Yeah. Don't do anything. I don't know. I just don't get yourself in any situations. And if you do, just give us a call. We'll try to help you out.
Remember, if you want to advertise your company in Costa Rica, hit us up at Pura Vida Perspective in our Instagram, and we can mention your company here.
All right. Thanks for joining us today in this episode. Hopefully you guys learned something. We always have a fun time. We like being able to share our perspectives. Hopefully, like I said, you guys get something out of it, even a crazy story or two every once in a while. And yeah, thanks for following along with us on this journey. We appreciate you guys.
Pura vida. Have a good one.
Esto fue una producción de La Resortera.